It's Jay Mill here. Just sitting here in the living room doing some reloading. Figured I'd make this video. Um, so this is a video in my budget reloading series. Um, you know, you don't have to spend five, six, $700 in order to get into reloading. You can do it for considerably cheaper than that. Um, you don't have to get a you know turret press or something big like that. I use this little Lee hand press. I believe this one cost me right around 30 or 40 bucks for this hand press, and then just a little box of dies. Right now I'm reloading 40 Smith and Wesson. So I've already gone through and resized and deprimed these cases. I've then gone back and primed them with a RCBS hand priming tool. And so now I'm going through and belling each one of the cases. That way I can, when it comes time to put the projectile in, it'll be a little bit simpler for me. So the really neat thing about this hand press is that it doesn't have to be mounted anywhere. I can sit here while watching TV in my living room and sit here and reload. It's really neat that way. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space, and as I said before, it's considerably cheaper than a lot of the bench mounted reloading presses are. So we will do one more here and then move on to the next step. So I'll set those three aside. Change out my die right here. Very easy to change out. We'll put my bullet seating die in here. Alrighty. Next step is to put the powder in the cases. I know a lot of people do powder by weight, which is probably the most recommended method of putting powder in your cases. I opt to do it by volume. So right now for these 40 Smith & Wesson rounds here, I like to do 0.6 cubic centimeters of powder per case of my particular powder. When you get into reloading, make sure that you work up your own data. Don't go off of something that somebody on YouTube or on a forum or something like that has said. Their load data works for them. You need to get a reloading book and start from there and work up your own load data through that. I've gone through to see exactly what the grain weight of 0.6 cubic centimeters of this particular powder. I checked the grain weight on that, and I'm getting a pretty consistent weight measurement off of my volume measurement on that. I've been doing this for quite a few years and feel very comfortable doing it that way. But before you get into trying to reload, make sure that, like I said, you get a book and start off that way. So I do not have a 0.6 cubic centimeter dipper, so what I'm using here is a 0.3 cubic centimeter dipper, and so I'm doing 2 scoops per round, like so. this does take considerably more time than some of your more expensive setups, um, and you know, in my opinion, that's all right. I enjoy sitting down and spending a couple hours reloading. Um, I find that to be relaxing, especially if there's nobody else home. That means that I can sit down uninterrupted and go through all of my steps for reloading. Um, there are times when you know, my daughter will be home and we'll sit down and she'll help me bell the cases or help me deprime the cases as I'm working on another step or something like that. She enjoys helping out and feeling like she's you know, doing something to help dad. Which is it's fun for me too because I get to then teach her um, about reloading and about firearms in general, which is something that, in my opinion, kids these days don't get enough of. I find that when we teach our children things about firearms, it makes them less curious about them. When we take them out and show them how they work and you know, showing them what's involved in making the ammunition. Um, uh, you know, it just for because they understand how they work, it makes them less curious, which means they're less likely to attempt to play with, for lack of better words, with firearms. Um, Now I keep all of mine locked up, so my daughter does not have access to them. Although I know that if she were to go over to a friend's house, and if that friend's parents don't have theirs locked up, she's not going to be curious uh, about them because she already knows, you know, a lot. And then if she has any questions, I'm always more than happy to go pull one out and explain something to her and show her something and yeah. So as I said, it can be a very, very slow process as we go through putting powder in each one of these cases. I think I'm going to go ahead and do one more and then we'll start seeding bullets. Alrighty. So I've got 25 cases have been completely prepped, and now I'll have powder in them. So now I'll go through and I'll start putting the projectiles on them and getting the projectiles seated to the correct depth. So these projectiles I'm using here are all they're cast loads. Um, I do all the casting myself. I enjoy doing that. I've got another video on YouTube about casting and the process I go through when casting bullets. But I find it to be considerably cheaper um, to cast my own. Granted, it does add another cost to or not costs. I apologize. Adds more time to the reloading process. But again, I had said that I really enjoy this whole process of doing this. It's a lot of fun for me. Uh, so I'm going to grab my little booklet over here and double check my maximum overall case length. Looks like it is 28.83 millimeters. So I'll take my calipers here and I'll go 28.83, so 25, 6, 7, 8, and it looks like I am slightly more, so I'm going to adjust my die here, put the round back in. Let's double check and see if we're good now. Still just a little bit big, so we'll go hopefully one more time. Put the round back in. Wow, still a little big. I do, before I start, I do loosen it up a little bit just to make sure that I get it right every time. So before I start seeding bullets, I like to loosen it up, and then on the first round I'll get it back tightened up where it needs to be, and then I can just cruise through and get them all seeded to the proper depth. So there we go. Oh, one down. Now we'll start going pretty quick. So grab a bullet, put it on top of the case, goes in the press, close the press, open her up, and she's good to go. As you can see. Same thing. Once you get to this step, it goes pretty quick. I think the part that takes the longest is just putting the powder in the cases. I think that definitely takes long. You can buy different projectiles through different companies, but I have yet to find a company that I can buy projectiles from that are cheaper than these lead cast ones that I do myself. And as I said before, this is reloading on a budget, so we're talking about lowest cost per round. Alrighty, well, appreciate you joining me for another budget reloading video. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button down at the bottom of your screen. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're liking the content that I've been putting out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll catch my videos when they come out. You'll get a little notification, and it'll let you know when I do another video. Once again, I appreciate your time, and I'll be back with another video shortly. Thanks, guys.